Dead by Daylight is an asymmetrical 1 vs 4 horror game by Behavior Interactive, and one of my favorite games as of late, as some of you can see. It features iconic horror classics such as Chucky, the Saw franchise, Alan Wake, Resident Evil, and many more original and licensed characters. There's a whole lot of lore and a lot to read, but I'm not going to go on a lore-related spiel today. This is completely different. In today's video, I'm going to be showcasing some examples of how some of Dead by Daylight's most iconic slashers can be linked up to our real-world ecosystem, and how you could possibly take some of these comparisons as tidbits and knowledge to actually use in-game. Unfortunately, not every killer can have a wildlife counterpart, as some characters in the game can do otherworldly things like teleportation that our world just hasn't introduced to us yet. But aside from that, I'm gonna go through some gameplay and killers that I can associate with our beautiful natural world, and to make up for some missing faces, I'm also gonna be talking about some tips and tricks that our neighboring creatures on Earth do that could actually benefit you next time you dip your toes into the endless fog. Running the killer at a dead zone is no easy feat. You've got no defensive and evasive upper hand, with little to no chance of even running from the killer. But if you're a hardened survivor main with gravel for teeth and stainless steel bones that eat the crust of this very earth we stand on for breakfast, a dead zone is very much alive for you. Like a hare in the middle of the moist, cold plains of Canada and Alaska, fending off a wolf. Those guys do nothing but dodge and weave all night and day. Hares have a reaction time of approximately 0.1 second, which is actually 0.1 second faster than humans, and despite the minuscule difference, it's not only life or death for the hare, but experience too. Hares can turn and weave with the split-second accuracy and timing, and good survivors can do just the same. So, next time you go for an epic 360 spin tech on the killer in a dead zone, very specific example I know, but trust me, you'll get into this situation more than once, think of the quick-acting hare. Dodging, weaving, and using your general surrounding environment may trick some less experienced killers, but the main point of being a survivor is, well, surviving. So you should try to be aware of where you're at, any blind spots that are around, any place that the killer could just pop up and come grab you, etc. And unfortunately, like some prey animals, you may end up getting caught. But, lucky for you, this is a video game, and your life isn't over when you get caught lacking where the pallets can't drop. Chase. It's what makes Dead by Daylight the game that it is. Just very scary tag. Every killer's got their own chase music to heighten the senses and make chase feel more intense. Except for you guys. Sorry. Maybe someday.
Except you stay.
The music can be intense, orchestral, droning, and many more, depending on how the killer is. Animals, luckily, don't have chase music, or else I think it'd sound a bit like this.
Jesus Christ, shoot this mother!
Chasing survivors as a killer is very fun. Mind gaming and tricking those that thought they had the upper hand is super satisfying, but experienced survivors can tend to put you on a leash, just making you follow them around endlessly throughout the trial as generators pop and nothing gets done on your end. This is why I main the Knight. A very controversial killer. With his power to summon a guard that follows a path until a survivor is spotted via the giant green aura surrounding them, giving chase is a said and done type deal, since now you've got a distraction, which to the survivor is just a whole nother killer on the playing field. What works out for me most of the time is letting the Carnifex, the big pig looking guy with a super long chase timer, go after a survivor, and while he's at it, I start to come in at an angle, just like pack hunting animals of our world. Taking influence from nature is a lot more helpful in this game than you think. Since carnivores can't just walk into a store for their meals, they've got to be better than it. Show their dinner what place they have on the food pyramid. And this is exactly why I love the Knight. One of the most tactical chase killers in the game, whose reputation is tarnished by a very angry survivor community. And yes, I'm fully aware that he's the second most hated killer in the entire game, and every time I play as him, I end up getting at least one nasty comment on my Steam page, or even a nudge in the wrong direction, if you know what I mean. Kill yourself! Alright, this one's more of a joke, but I'll explain it anyway. You ever play as killer and catch the entire team at the same place doing random shit? Oh, hi guys! Hi everyone! Hello! Or maybe catch 3 to 4 people on a generator and just scare them all away? Well, I've always associated that with picking up a rock and watching every single bug scatter as they think you're gonna eat them. It's especially funny with stealth killers or when you're undetectable. It's like you caught them doing something that they really shouldn't have been doing. And for the killer's perspective, that's exactly right. Pop it, pop it, pop it, pop it! Yes! So those are the only in-game mechanics that I'm going to be covering, since animals surviving in the wild don't really have access to flashlights, pallets, and vaults to evade becoming somebody's next meal. So for the remainder of the video, I'm going to be going over the many killers that I can pair up with a wildlife counterpart, you know, like I mentioned in the intro. So enjoy the rest of the video. Honestly, the way that Dead by Daylight advertises the Trapper is kinda sad, calling him the easiest killer or the simplest killer, and providing him with not that many needed buffs or nerfs, considering he can either be outright unfair to play against sometimes, or an absolute cakewalk. It all really depends on the map, and this is where spiders come in. The main point of playing Trapper effectively is to gather your prey into a little area, like how spiders just sit and wait for their food to come to them. And if you equip the Trapper Sack add-on, which gives you all of your traps at the start rather than having them around the map, you can actually prepare your own little area of complete survivor domination rather than having to waltz your way to the other side of the map to pick up an automatically placed trap that exists purely to be useless. Spiders weave their sticky webs in specific patterns that are impossible to escape, and they make it easy to navigate for the spider. Trapper's best element, in my opinion, is area acquisition, and hiding traps in such a way where the survivor becomes way too occupied with trying to escape you that they end up stepping into a trap. Trapper can also see the aura of his traps, and if you step in your own, expect to be laughed at by the entire lobby, as he likes to make a very loud and funny noise whenever he does. That's like if a spider were to somehow trap its own leg in the web, but that'll never happen, since spiders and other insects are unfeeling machines with one purpose and no other goals, hobbies, or interests in life. In fact, I couldn't even find a funny clip of a spider trapping itself in its own web. It's just not possible. I'm gonna put Hag in here too, since she has generally the same idea as Trapper, except Hag teleports. I know, I said no otherworldly powers allowed, but she's still a trap killer. The same gimmick really applies. You make a trap, you set up your area, and you wait. It's the same deal. On we go. Stealth killers are some of my absolute favorites to play in Dead by Daylight when I'm not feeling overly competitive, because giving survivors a good scare is some of the most fun I've had in the game. Michael Myers and Ghostface are two of the few stealth killers that I can pair with some of the fiercest stalkers in the animal kingdom, and the inspiration behind the thumbnail of this video. Big cats. Sorry, Wraith. You go completely invisible and rely on a bell to use your stealth power. Our wild world isn't exactly there just yet. For Michael, stalking comes with no penalty, since he just doesn't care if anyone's watching him. Since he's too busy charging up his version of a fucking spirit bomb, and with some certain add-ons he can insta-kill survivors if they aren't cautious enough. Michael walks with confidence, not caring if he's spotted watching his prey, only focusing on his obsession, as Michael picks his targets down one by one, instead of a full group focus like the Unknown or the Plague, just like the big cats of our world. Lions, tigers, and the black-footed cat? Voted apparently the world's deadliest species of cat, so, I guess this guy's roped in here now.
Okay, I'm sorry!
Cats in general stalk as a way to effortlessly surprise their prey without wasting much time or energy, since hunting can be exhausting, especially on an empty stomach. Their big meaty paws also give them the silence and grace in their moves, with nothing but evil intent in their eyes. Enter Ghostface. He's the one that gives me the most big cat vibes, since Michael is just a very, very tall and scary human with a knife that can insta-down 4 people in one lucky tier 3. Ghostface, on the other hand, can stalk, building yet another meter, but it's personalized this time. If someone is fully seen, they become exposed, making them vulnerable to an insta-down attack. Ghostface is considered to be a weaker killer by many, mainly because of his lack of map pressure, relying heavily on perks to speed him up and stop progress from being made on the survivor's end. This is why finding a good Ghostface is always so fun to me, since they actually have to try when stalking around the map, as being seen as Ghostface exposes you to the survivors and kicks you out of your power. To me, honestly, and from personal experience as well, Ghostface is the top scarer in the game, beating the likes of Michael, simply because his undetectability lasts for the entire match if you consistently use your power. For Michael, you may need add-ons to keep the effect for the entire game, making his tier 1 scary, yes, but kinda useless. He's got no lunge, and he's very, very slow. Tier 1's main use is to build up to the next ones, to eventually become the unstoppable machine that Michael is. Once again, for Ghostface, you need to remain in the shadows and keep a low profile so you can strike with efficiency and timing. Even good Ghostfaces can get looped for eternity. He's really got nothing much going for him other than his stalk from afar ability. You could pull a clutch and stalk mid-chase, which is possible, but very difficult to pull off. I've only done it once in my entire Ghostface career, and this is why I also like to try to play Ghostface with the big cat mentality, picking off each oblivious survivor one by one, scaring the shit out of them in the process, as well as getting my well-deserved hook state. For cats, that's a stalk, a swift catch, and dinner for the night. I'm just glad that most cats don't see us humans as viable meals. I've got a really bad case of tunnel vision, so my surroundings don't even exist around me half the time. Another huge aspect for mainly Ghostface is blending in. Most of his cosmetics are more for show, and if you want to be the ideal hidey face, I'd say go for the classic outfit you see in the movies. The only thing sticking out like a sore thumb is his mask, but that's like the best part. Scaring people throws them off guard and can cause cataclysmic snowballing for the team. Cats don't have to pressure gens, they have to bring food home for their family. You see now why cheetahs are considered so vulnerable in the wild? All they've got going for them is speed. Oh, by the way, everything I said about Michael Myers and Ghostface can go for the pig as well. It's just that during the recording and writing of this script, I kind of forgot she was a killer, despite playing as her a lot recently. But weirdly enough, I'd say she fits more in line with the cat stuff, considering she has a super lunge as her main ability. Sorry, Amanda, I could have gone on a giant spiel about just you, but I guess I forgot. I think if you have some pretty basic knowledge of Dead by Daylight, this one's a bit self-explanatory. Blight, go fast. Wesker, go fast. Cheetah, go fast. Blight, Cheetah, Wesker, Cheetah fast, Wesker, Blight. Blight, Cheetah, bump. Wesker, Cheetah, wall hacks, diseased and rotten. Diseased, rotten, diseased, Cheetah, fast, go still. Blight, Cheetah, bump, wall scream, Wesker, Cheetah, infect plus speed. Chucky? Fast, tiny, so cute. But Cheetah, big, Chucky, small, Wesker, Blight, fast, but Chucky, small, fast. It's basic math, people.
I am Dr. Herman Carter, and I'll treat your needs with electrotherapy. It's gonna hurt really bad. I am Dr. Herman Carter, open wide for me. I'll remove your teeth until you scream. I practice in medicine, but not the type you need. I stretch my eyes and mouth open to see and laugh at your screams. You'll get what you deserve. Your life will be preserved. Death is not an option, so I'll make it hurt.
Now, you're probably thinking, oh, doctor? Pfft, that's easy. Electric eel. That's because he uses electricity. Nope. I'm gonna compare Herman here with the Dendrochnide, more commonly known as the giant stinging tree, or the suicide plant. Yep, if that rings a bell, this is the plant that makes horses off themselves when they touch it. Dendrochnide is a type of plant, mostly prevalent in Australia, of course, and has quite the effect on your brain and the entire nervous system. Simply brushing against the stinging hairs all along its edges can cause 9 months of endless, throbbing, itchy, stinging pain. 9 months. That is the amount of time needed to create a human being. And that effect is exactly how I feel when going against the Doctor. Doctor's main power is to summon blasts of electricity that cause the survivors to go crazy, and eventually start seeing visions of the Doctor, as well as not being able to do certain things like vaulting, dropping pallets, or working on generators without having to snap out of it first. In the final tier of Insanity, with some add-ons, you could also get a false terror radius or a red stain, or both, making you look like you're losing your mind running around like an idiot to your fellow survivors. So, they have to quite literally snap themselves out of it, like I said, to recompose themselves. I compare Doctor to the stinging tree because of the mental and physical effect that he can have on you once in contact. Not just because I don't like going against him. And I don't think comparing him to a stinky little electric eel would do him any justice.
Ow, ow.
If you read into his lore, you'll actually see that the suicide plant is a little more accurate. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if he used this plant in some of his experiments. Well, then again, it was all electrotherapy, so... But, you know, I don't really have room to judge on how to mentally and physically stimulate someone to the point of absolute cosmic loss and cranial decay. It's just not my field. So, let's just move onward. I think that archerfish are some of the coolest animals I've ever seen, ever, and whoever named the species archerfish deserves a cake of their choosing with their name written in 48-karat gold icing, as well as the sloppiest of blowfish jobfishes ever known to mankind. The fact that this species' food source was about 3 to 4 feet above them, flying in the air, meant that these snobs had to evolve in such a way where they could quite literally shoot it down and achieve greatness. The huntress's power is to throw hatchets at survivors. The archerfish very cleverly spit highly compressed bolts of water to catch their prey. Bugs! They've got shockingly good aim, like the snipers of local ponds. And Huntress, depending on who's playing as her at the moment, can be the sniper of Dead by Daylight. Lore-wise, yes, very similar. But in-game, it does depend, like I said. Cross-map 2-taps aren't common, but when they happen, just know that you may have stepped into the playing field with an archerfish who's taken a liking to video games. The Legion is one of the more frustrating killers of Dead by Daylight to go against and play as, in my opinion, with a hit-and-run style of gameplay, meaning you have to hit one survivor, and then after that you gotta go hit another, and then the last one, and after that you go Mach 5, and if you hit anyone else, they're instantly downed. It's a very interesting power, and not many Legion players get to actually utilize it because of the many loopholes surrounding the Legion's power. So, I think Wasps go pretty well with the Legion's whole power, and actually fit the personality of the main member a bit. Frank. He's rash, mean, rowdy, and, like Wasps, completely useless to society, and a pest that many more or less fear out of hate. Most Wasps can sting multiple times, and if enough get to you, you can actually succumb to the stings and die, which is a horrifying way to go out now that I think about it. Like I said earlier, the Legion has many loopholes that are kinda unavoidable, because when you tag a survivor and cause them to go into the mending state, if you hit them again in your power, you get knocked out of it. So, what a lot of survivors do is when they get hit by Legion, they instantly start mending as to waste as little time as possible, because that's the main point of Legion, is to waste as much time as you can. If only there was a 4v4 mode where you could play as all of the Legion members against 4 survivors. Imagine how frustrating that would be. The Plague is a killer that I unfortunately sometimes forget is even in the game. No offense. It's not that she doesn't get enough love or content, it's just that I A, barely face her, and B, she's just in such a good spot that there's no real news about her, and no real information to learn about her. But when I do face her, it's just the same as any other Plague match. Everyone's sick, injured, broken, and then we lose. I do not know how to go against her to this day, and every time I play her, I also lose. But, you know, that's just personal crap. Maybe I'm bad. So, out of my angst and rage, I'm comparing Plague to 3 animals today. The disgusting poopy skunks, the disgusting bloody short-horned lizards, and the disgusting vomit legends, turkey vultures. She's like a grotesque, beautiful mix of all 3. Skunks, as all of you know that live in Northeast America, shoot sour-smelling, oily poopy juice all over their attacker, making them fucking reek for eternity, unless you rub tomato juice all over yourself. Instead of for defense, let's pretend that skunks went out of their way to pick fights and spray their dookie juice. I think the entirety of North America and Canada would stink pretty bad. That stench goes on for around 20 miles, I think. Last time I did my research. Short-horned lizards, which I apologize for calling them disgusting because I think they're personally adorable and I kinda love them, are a species of lizard that shoot blood from their eyeballs. I do not know why and how evolution decided to specialize in that skill specifically, but I can't judge. Humans are the only animals to have protection for their buttholes, for God's sake. Anyways, the short-horned lizard shoots blood from its eyes as a way to fend off possible predators, or to clean dirt and debris from its big bulgers. And finally, the turkey vulture does the same gimmick that the other 2 did, except it actually vomits, not out of their eyeballs. I don't know why I wrote that it does the same gimmick that the other 2 did, but okay, whatever, you get it. The script is so fucking bad. Turkey vultures will vomit on opposing animals to get them to buzzard off, I'm gonna kill myself. And from all of these, I think you can tell what I'm going for. The Plague can vile purge all over the map and survivors to infect as much as she can. It's a very unique power that has its own little physics engine too, which I thought was pretty cool. If a survivor gets infected, you can cleanse at one of the many pools that spawn on the map to remove infection and possibly be healed again. This will then grant the Plague her power, forcing her to walk to one of the pools to get the Corrupt Purge. The Corrupt Purge is like super vomit made of blood, like the lizards, that instantly damages survivors rather than giving them any sort of sickness. We can all agree that no matter how much you love her, the Plague is grody, as well as all of her little animal counterparts I've given her. It's funny how the 4th tallest, the widest, and the angriest killer in the game is being compared to a tiny little blood-sucking bug. The Oni's power relies on injuries, having blood orbs drop from survivors, and when nabbing enough, he gets into rage mode. During this, he can take out his Tetsubo and dash really fast across the map, insta-downing survivors in his path with a triple smash attack. Luckily for us, mosquitoes can't comprehend anger, nor have a secret secondary weapon ready to use when full of the delicious red stuff. But, you know, the comparison is there, both bloodsuckers and both needing it to survive and prevail. Nemesis, who is already a parasite/virus in itself, is a very easy pairing. And I'm gonna rope him with the infamous zombie ant fungus, which is commonly confused with cordyceps as seen in The Last of Us. By the way, cordyceps is so dangerous to humans that it can improve immunity by stimulating cells and specific chemicals in the immune system? What? I always thought it was a deadly zombie mushroom that eats your brain and tells you to do bad things, evil things. Well, that was all a lie, apparently, and everything I know is made up by the machine elves hidden within the walls of time, and there's no way it's ever gonna spread to humans, considering some of us are out here eating that shit. I'm also gonna bring in chronic waste disease with Nemesis as well, since Nemesis is just a big walking bioweapon. Chronic waste disease is a prion that can occur in some deer species and can come from carcasses of long-gone deer, and is a very, very scary and sad sight to see. Deer with chronic waste walk around looking like war-torn soldiers, with matted fur, mangy eyes, no meat on their bones, and rotting from the inside out, secretly being taken over by a fungus that cannot be cured. Which is why Nemesis is a great pairing. No other goal than total domination of the world, and as for chronic waste and the zombie fungal disease in ants, all they want to do is spread. In a video I made about 10 months ago about my grand return to YouTube, I got face to face, or rather hair to seed, with Stickerburs. Funnily enough, while recording this segment, my luscious hair got tangled in some nearby stickies, and I had to take an almost 2-hour-long shower to get them out. Oh, fuck! These prickly, day-ruining fucks are a plant that spread its seed by sticking to the fur or hair of an animal, and wait to be simply planted somewhere new, once the animal eventually and gruelingly removes the burrs. Unfortunately for the stickies that were on my head, they never got to see the light of day again. As for Singularity, the comparison of the Stickerburs comes from his power, which is to set up cameras all around the map, spying on and shooting goo at unsuspecting survivors, and if you double tag them in the camera, you can go turbo, or slipstreaming. That's where Singularity shoots 2 balls of goo at you, and on the second shot, he can teleport close to you, and is invulnerable from pallet attacks for a little bit, as well as having a higher vaulting speed, as well as general buffs to everything for about 15 to 20 seconds. Luckily for us humans, Stickerburs are merely a plant, and can't automatically cling to you if you're just within their line of sight, but sometimes I feel like they really do have a mind of their own, since my hair didn't even touch the ground when I got them caught up in there. Singul's power can also spread, and depending on add-ons, it can spread quickly between a team. Same goes with the stickies. During the removal of these seeds from my luscious brown locks, I had to unfortunately sacrifice my shirt in the process, since those things are an actual force of nature that are impossible to remove. Eventually, I just chopped a bit of my hair off and flushed it all down the toilet. But when you're up against Singularity, it's not as easy as that. You need to open these boxes that are around the map to get an EMP, and if you hold the active button for long enough, a big aura will surround you, and within that aura, if there are any cameras, you can shut them down, forcing Singularity to either wait out the timer, or destroy the camera and build a new one. Similarly to Plague, I think he's in a pretty good spot right now. He was recently very heavily buffed, and those buffs are beautiful. His gameplay is much smoother, and destroying the cameras within the camera is actually pretty good. It makes him have to walk around less, as well as the auto-aim for people that have, well, you know, bad aim. That's pretty good too. Well, let's get on to the last few. The Xenomorph is very controversial when it comes to Dead by Daylight killers, since her power was somewhat of a letdown to some, but I personally am a big Xeno fan. Anyways, let's put our differences in opinion aside and agree that the one animal I could possibly pair with Xenomorph is a scorpion. That, or very small lizards like iguanas, but mostly the scorpion, since when Xenomorph attacks, her tail goes backwards, then forwards like a scorpion. Very self-explanatory. Although she doesn't inflict you with anything like scorpions do when they sting, hers is mainly just to inflict long-range damage. Not to mention the fact that she burrows underground and exits out of other tunnels across the map. Very bug-like, I'd say. Very bug-like. In the Alien movies, the Xenomorph, like the one we see in Dead by Daylight, aren't even the biggest of all threats, but obviously still pose a huge problem for the space crew. They are actually like the bugs of that universe, if you think about it. Anyways, Xeno's tail attack is a 4-point-something meter attack that has a very small hitbox window and works almost exactly like our real-world scorpions. Very beautiful, very powerful. Looking back to what I said about Nemesis, the Unknown could also fit in with the whole general viral infection type deal, since Nemesis ain't the only parasite of Dead by Daylight. Unknown's main ability is to shoot its goo at survivors for a quick 2-tap, like Singularity. While yes, Unknown's power is very unique, it's still got its similarities to the previous killers. In a roster of about 37 unique killers, it's obviously gonna be a bit tough to keep your powers original. So just mixing a bunch together is kinda the best bet. And finally, I'm just gonna get this out of the way. I refuse to pair Demogorgon with dogs, because I have never heard of, nor seen any dog that could possibly jump 10 to 12 feet in front of the— Holy shit, what the fuck? Well, I hope you enjoyed today's video. I sure did. Reading up on a bunch of creatures while also getting to rope them together with my favorite Dead by Daylight killers and mechanics was quite fun. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, get a Sadbulldog plush, consider becoming a patron, big list of things, I know, and I'll see you in the next wacky video. Bye-bye, everyone! I'm recording this on the 28th of August, 2024. Dracula has been out for 1 day. The animals I paired Dracula with are a wolf and a bat.